Hello, today we are live on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And today we are going to talk about something that's super important that every author needs to know, and it's your author brand. So first we're going to talk about what an author brand is, and then I'll give you some kind of tips about what's included in your author brand. And we're just going to talk about how to work through it. It'll be really quick. Hopefully it'll be helpful. So first, what is your author brand? Well, your author brand is you. Basically, your author brand is how you present your writing and your book and basically all parts of you out to the rest of the world. So it's how you communicate your message. And your message, if you're a fiction author, is basically that you have books to sell that you want people to read. So that is what an author brand is. In the online space, there are 3 different ways to get your author brand started. There are these are very helpful things to have. They're good things to include. And if you have these things and get them together in the right way and actually work them together, you can actually have a very smooth time. So this is kind of like author branding 101, getting started. But there are 3 things, and we'll talk about those. First, you need a website. So a website, as you probably are aware of, is your online real estate. It is where you can send people, some people can use it as a business card, but it's so much more than that. It's a place to just have all of your information where you can send someone. I definitely recommend if you can get your author name as your URL, I would definitely recommend that. That's super beneficial to have. So I would recommend that for sure. And we can talk later on, or you can leave a comment or whatever if you're wondering where to get those. But there are a few different places to get a URL for your, basically to secure it, to purchase that so that you can use that URL and it's unique to you. So definitely recommend that. I also recommend for authors, especially starting out, if you don't have any like tech experience, it's very helpful to use a website that is easy to use, it's easy to update, it does all of the background stuff for you. The one I personally use is Squarespace. This is not an ad for Squarespace, but I do love Squarespace. And because it's so easy to use, they keep all of the security features and everything updated in the background. I don't have to do that. And so it's something that I really enjoy. I also switched to Squarespace from my previous website company because they have an ability, they have an app so you can update on the go. You just have all of the different tools that you need at your disposal. They do have add-ons for email marketing and things like that we'll talk about in a minute. But it's really helpful to have that kind of security, that kind of knowing that everything's going to be taken care of. You don't have to do the updates yourself and risk something that you don't, risk messing something up, which can happen with other websites. So that's the one I definitely recommend. But you also want to consider there are website services that are free. But as you probably have learned, or if you have not, you may soon learn that free is not always the best option because sometimes you're dealing with you have to give up your time to maintain something that's free. So, for example, I did have a free website before it was open source, but I did have to do all the updates myself. So that was something that either I had to take the time to do, or in my case, my husband had to take the time to do. So that we had to get that updated and make sure everything was running smoothly. And so that took time. And if you don't have the expertise, or someone in your family that has the expertise, then you may actually have to pay someone to do that. So that could be even more problematic. So it's important to look at the cost benefit analysis there and make sure that, yes, even though there may be a monthly fee to run a website, if they handle all of the things that you need them to handle and you are secure and know that you don't really have to think about it, you can just go in and drag and drop an update and be done. It may benefit you to take that expense just because that peace of mind, make it a lot easier. So the second thing you need is an email list. And the reason for this is it's been proven that you get a better, conversion rate. That's what it's called. You get a better conversion rate on an email list. If you were to send out an email, say to sell your book, there is a higher likelihood that the people on your email list would purchase from you than there is on social media. And the way that that works, the conversion rate, it basically calculates how many people you're reaching versus how many people actually purchase. And so if a conversion rate is higher, that means if you have you can have less people on your email list than you do on social media, and you still get the same number of sales. So if that makes sense, but so it's just beneficial to have an email list because it's easier to sell your products, to reach people. You go right in their inbox. They've given you permission. That's an important thing that we'll touch on in a second. It's important for that consent issue to make sure that you that they want you to email them. But it's important to have this element. So a lot of the best way to do this is an email. Well, really the only way to do this is using an email marketing provider. There are a ton of them out there. I personally use ConvertKit. It might be a little more than what authors need to use if they're just selling books, because obviously I do courses and other things. So I need a more robust system, but I love it because you can do all kinds of things in the background that I will not get into. But it's important to have that email marketing company that manages your things. So there are free options for this when you're just starting out. They usually get more expensive as you kind of grow and your list grows, but it's absolutely essential so that you can contact the people that are basically your super fans and want to hear more about your books. And there are ways to get them on lists that maybe we'll talk about in another life. And then social media, that's the third piece of it. And this is really crucial, but it's not the only way to do things. So I know of people who have just completely removed themselves from social media, and that is fine. You can certainly run a business without it, but it will be more difficult. So a lot of the reason that social media is great is because there is no cost to join. It's basically your time and creating the content and staying up to date and interaction. So basically you're offering, instead of having to pay for a marketing channel, say like ads, you are using your time to get organic reach and to get people in that way. And it can be very effective. Now, if this is not aligned to you and it just feels too much, then that may be a problem. But for the most part, social media is, for 90% of people, 90% of authors, probably a good idea. Okay, so that is what I have to talk about today. We are going to hopefully talk about these things more in the coming days. We're going to talk all kinds of stuff for authors. But I just wanted to give you a quick little training on author brand and what that's about. So I hope that kind of gave you some things to think about, because if you don't have, and when I talk about author brand, some people think that it's about looking really nice and looking all put together and having all the same fonts and all the same colors and having everything look the same and the same filters on your pictures. But I don't think it needs to be that formal. It can be if you want it to, but a lot of times that actually comes between you and the audience because it doesn't feel as authentic. So the most important part about your author brand is to make it feel authentic to you, make it be an accurate reflection of you and your work, which would be your novels. Or nonfiction, because I know I have a lot of followers there too. So it's just important to consider that don't let the word brand scare you, because it's really just the content that comes out and shows who you really are. It's really just a proliferation of you in the inside so that you can see how everything, so that you can reach the people that you want to reach and let them know about the amazing books that you write so that they can get into their hands. All right. Well, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.